Hello and welcome to Zeta's Chivalry 2 survival runs. Today's map is Thayic and I'm playing with the requested weapon, the two-handed hammers. The weapon itself is not bad, it's rather better side of the blunt weapons. It's not as good as maul or two-handed mace, but it still packs a punch pretty well. In tight spaces you might find that all blunt weapons do not go through opponents with normal hits. So have this in mind when you try to fight 1 against 2. Without further ado, let's start. So the map itself is not very friendly to attackers. Mainly the first several stages have quite a few enemy siege weapons available. So like catapults and ballistas. And this is usually the most frequent death for me if I do survival runs. Also pretty good with ballistas, so I understand why they're being used. So these just of course, a way to players go to the side in the beginning and then just simply follow through to the first objective on whichever side you prefer. This time I'm playing on the left side and I will not go through the middle so just because I might be killed by ballista, straight ballista shot. So now I healed up and finally able to rejoin the fight. So I go again to the left once the first objective, the first side objective is being taken. Now enemy spawns further away, which actually is helpful, so you don't get killed by enemy waves spawning on you. Pretty good enemy, quite a hairy situation. One is down. Not sure, now I see that enemy arrows are flying, so I'd rather go back and just try to heal. There is also a neatly stored ammo crate here. So you should always remember what the ammo crates are, so you are more versatile in wherever you need to hide and replenish your health or weapons. So now we're pushing, the last objective is left for this particular stage. I'm able on 2 on the objective. Of course I'm not carrying the bombards, this is just too risky. So instead I just clean the way for them as much as I can. And now I can go for the middle, because once you are on the ground level, just below the ballistas cannot shoot. Also I know there was quite a few friendlies on the objective itself, so probably enemy is busy with them and are not mounting ballistas, so this is the assumption. And seems like I was right. So there's battles going on there. And now the last objective is taken of this stage. Now again, if you think the siege weapons threat is over, it's not. So there are 3 ballistas that actually can also put catapult shots onto you if they're good. Usually there are 2 ways you can run up, 2 major ways, one on left and one on the right. And good ballista guys, catapult guys can just bombard those areas and you'll be killed. So those 2 ramps are usually being sniped by catapults from the defending side. It's quite easy, you just need to put a minimum string the minimum for the catapult and it will hit. So yeah, it's very dangerous if you do survival runs here. I see a lonely archer. See, this weapon does not insta-kill enemy archer, even with special attack or heavy attack, unlike the greatsword. So it still gives another few milliseconds for enemy to catch up with me, and also for archer to escape. So this is why it's not the best weapon against the archers. I like my archers being killed in 1 hit. And now with some jabs finished the enemy. But this weapon is actually very good against armored opponents, like knights. But fighting against knights on an open field, again, you are not using your advantage of having a really good speed, and instead you try to give enemy all the advantage of having more health. So yeah, if you play as Vanguard, it's best for you to move and always change location. So hit where it hurts and go back. This is how the Vanguard usually play. Not contest the objectives, but instead try to take as much attention from the enemies so they can chase you or whatever. But the idea is that your friendlies can proceed. Not a bad enemy. Pretty good actually. Knows how to do drags and also blocks well. But unfortunately his stamina management was not on point. He was always blocking instead of countering. So he's out of stamina and I'm still full on stamina. So yeah, again from behind. This is what Vanguard does. Also dragged my hammer behind the enemy block. So that's why the enemy probably was baffled why he was blocking and still was not able to block my hit. So this is a drag. I dragged to the side so it doesn't, my hit does not connect with the enemy. And then on the very last second, when it's around at the height of his feet, then I would connect my hammer with the enemy body. So this is a sure way of overhead drags. You go behind of people who usually want to counter. Alright, this objective is over. And the fun is not yet over. Because there are still 2 ballistas on the menu side. And they're also very good at sniping. So if you would go on the middle way with those stairs, so you can be shot with ballista into pieces. And now there's an example of why this weapon is actually not very good at 1 against 2. So a quick hit did give me 1 kill, but not pass through. So another enemy was able to hit me at the same time. If my weapon would have passed through, like with an axe or with a sword, I would have also damaged another enemy who was hitting me, and that way I would not have been hit because his hit would have been cancelled. So yeah, have this in mind when fighting 1 against 2, that in fights you have to additionally with blunt weapons get yourself distance, so you can actually engage only with heavy hits. So heavy hits is what you should do usually. Otherwise you'll have the same situation that your hit is hitting, but another enemy is hitting you. So yeah, have this in mind. This is why I like mole runs, again, just going in like a wrecking ball and just going out as well. So in a sense I would use my heavy hits and not my normal hits, because normal hits are not very good. I mean, if you're fighting 1 against 1, it's fine, but once against several, it's not very good. So yeah, have this in mind. But this is true to all blunt weapons, not just this one. So I have a feeling that the two-handed mace is a bit better, and the reason why is because there is a possibility to stab really well, even though that's the same classification weapon as this one. Yeah, but two-handed mace can be wielded only by a knight, I think, and Vanguard can also field only either the war club or the two-handed, you know, at least one type of Vanguard can wield the two-handed hammers. So it's not a very popular weapon. Also, if you try throwing it, you won't be able to find a replacement from the enemies. So popularity of weapon usually shows how good the weapon is. It's not a rule, but that's usually the statistics. That's why you'll see a lot of people having war axes, Dane axes, great swords, long swords, because they're really good. Yeah, and you would barely see any kataras or some other trash tier weapons. So people know the stuff, especially experienced people. They know what's the best and what takes the least effort to learn and deliver most of the damage. So yeah, this weapon is not very popular, and there is a good reason why. I mean, any axe is probably better. Any axe. Even execution axe I would argue, but maybe it's not, but all other axes are definitely better, even to one-handed axe. So an unfortunate hit to the friendly's head. Oh yeah, just finishing off the enemies who are running back to the objective. It's now really a challenge because they don't look back, or at least they can't, because they have a timer and they have to go back to their side of the map. And I'm just running towards the next objective. Very careful, any fights here should be taken with even more caution, because one charging, pushing you out from the sledge and you're dead. And also I tried to activate the chandelier. Unfortunately I whiffed my shot, my throw. And instead I see a lot of enemies here. So instead I don't want to fight. And this is a very dangerous spot I am in. Still, I did that way because I wanted to help the friendly and get rid of the enemy quickly. And there's still barricades blocking the entrance upwards. So really tough at the moment. Oh no, very, very hard place. Fortunately, and yeah, enemy from behind. See, and I'm being hit by enemy too. Enemy just hit me in the knee cap and then just knocked me down. So these things happen. Especially it took me time to watch and see who's actually hitting me. So it wasn't the guy I was blocking, it was another guy who was on the ground, already knocked. It's alright, I was lucky that there was friendly wave spawning and they came in just in time to rescue me from this situation. So yeah, really tough place. This is not a place I like to be because I like usually running in open fields with some degree of protection so I can hide from archers, but not like this. This is terrible. Yeah, I was wondering if I would fall down, but apparently the sledge is quite good. We can walk it through. And here also a lot of enemies. And then what an unfortunate thing is that I was healing, and then one throwing whatever he threw at me actually reset my healing. So I just need to go back and replenish my health again. So that's quite tedious, but these things happen. So I go back and unfortunately pick up the weapon instead of activating ammo crates. Yeah, so not really much interesting how somebody is going back to heal, and I understand that. But this is part of the survival objective. If I would have seen some edible items, I would have gone for them. And if they're closer. But this is a less risky approach, especially if you're done half the map and you want to still survive. You try to play the latter half of the map with more caution. A more planning approach. Sometimes it's not worth the risk to get another kill if you are low on health and can die. But it depends on what's your overall objective. If you play for fun, it's not necessarily to do like this. But if you want to challenge yourself and have a shiny 0 at the end of the map, also having one of the highest scores, that's what you should do. Health management is important. Now I deal with not a bad person actually. He also does jabs and I have 2 of them. So as I told you, it's very hard to do duels against 2. And I'm being knocked again. Duel against 2 is hard, and this is another illustration why. So have this in mind if you try to do that. And I think I cannot find any hammers too. So that's another bummer. I need to somehow find a way to reclaim those. And since these weapons are not very popular, it'll be hard to do so. So what I need to do, either to activate forward spawn, to go back into spectators and then rejoin the team. But let's see. These are the only ways to get unpopular weapon back. If weapon would have been popular, I would just pick that up from the ground or from fallen comrade. So I'm just now going and looking if there are enemy friendlies who actually have this weapon, or enemies. Just looking at it. So I see one guy has it on the back, but even if he dies with an axe in his hand, I won't be able to pick up the hammer. And I see enemy with a hammer. See how lucky I am. I did not need to do anything. And I'm trying to look for his weapon and could not find it. See, sometimes when enemy is knocked, you cannot pick up his weapon, only if he's insta-killed. But by luck, I found another hammer, and now I picked it up. So I know now that I cannot throw, I cannot exhaust my stamina to the point where I would lose the weapon, because it took some time to get it, and all the time I could not really fight, because I was looking for the hammer. So yeah, keep this in mind when you do runs with unpopular weapons. But if they disappear, it's almost no chance for you to get it back, except for forward spawns and rejoining spectators and then go back into your team. So this tactic will allow you to get, the latter tactic will allow you to get the weapons back, but have in mind that once you have switched to spectators, it's not necessarily always possible to go back into your team if you're an attacker usually, because there might be that the defenders have much less people. So think about it before you, carefully, because you won't be able to rejoin the same team you started with. Yeah. Now we have to capture the courtyard. It's going well so far. Probably the last objective will be the hardest, because the Argon deals insanely huge amount of damage with his longsword. I mean, that's what it is. His longsword is incredible. Does a lot of damage. There is damage amplification. And it hits like a truck. It also goes through enemies. So really don't want to fight Argon. Also he has incredible health pool. So would need to still score some kills, maybe deliver some damage. But think carefully if I need to engage him. Because I know how it will end. Even a lesser skilled opponent can still pack a punch with Argon due to damage amplification and no hit, cancelling hits on damage. So yeah, but usually Argon is being awarded to the first guy in the team. So that means he'll definitely be good. So after reviving a friendly teammate, I rejoined the fight for the courtyard. So it's going swimmingly now. We've thinned out the enemy line so much that we're able to capture it, in a few seconds. So that's good. From my side, we're doing quite well. And now Argon appears, and this is where I have to be doubly careful. Also very nice usage of the horn. 799 points awarded. So that means there are a lot of friendlies who are damaged here, and other horns were not used. So yeah, usually that's how the horns should be used. When there's just so many friendlies and they're fighting, and you can see that they are damaged by the fact that they have some basically a sign across above them. So you can see they're damaged, but that's only when the horn ability is being awarded. Otherwise, if it's not yet ready, you won't see that additional interface above the heads of the friendlies. So yeah, Argon already took the first objective, and now we have to catch him on another objective. Now I haven't this time, and since my another weapon was not, it's a halberd, so I pick up, not really sure what it is, but it looks like that's a frying pan with a really big handle. So somebody can say that it's still a very good blunt weapon, because it does the same thing. It has a handle, it has a lot of weight on the head. Maybe not as aerodynamic, but it's still pretty good. So let's see, just for some trolling, we'll do some damage with this weapon too. Since it's awarded only at the very end of the map, it's impossible to do the runs in the beginning with this weapon, so since the beginning. But now the first skill with this notorious weapon. It's not very good. It's trolling, it doesn't do a lot of damage, but it's alright. Also, mind you that sometimes the tools that you pick up, they get into weapon slot, and sometimes the tools that you pick up do not get into the weapon slot. So from what I saw, I still have halberd on my back and a hammer on my back. So that means that this tool is pickable, not into the weapon slot, which means that if I am, if I try to block and lose all the stamina, the weapon will fall down on the ground, and very often I won't be able to pick it up again. So if you do survival runs with tools, have this in mind. So for example, a broom is a weapon, it gets into the weapon slot, but an oar does not. So this weapon also did not, and you see I'll no longer have it. and it's probably impossible to pick up. Anyway, I did some trolling with this weapon. Now I go back to the hammer. It's much better blunt weapon. It has amplification damage on armored opponents. Now active parry on the enemy. So always when fighting 2 against 1, be very wary about enemy using active parry to damage you. Because if they do counter well, and you come into this window of active parry, they'll block your hit, even though they are hitting themselves. It's a very dangerous spot. This is how most of the middle tier and lower tier people don't understand how how somebody can magically block. But this is a game mechanic to allow you fighting 1 against 2, 1 against 3. I'm not complaining. That's just game mechanic. I use it often too. Not always successfully, but it's still risky, but still I use it too whenever I can, if I'm in a hairy situation especially. But it's much easier just to go behind the enemy instead of actually fighting through the active parry. Now for some reason I decided to revive friendly, although the enemy was just next to him. That's alright, we'll persevere. Enemy with a shield. Unfortunately his hit was not quick enough, so he received my hit in return. So yeah, we're doing well. Argon is almost dead and nowhere near the objective. So apparently our team is doing quite well. So we're bashing through some friendlies, but also scoring a lot of kills too. That was risky. And this hit might have ended the whole survival run. I was lucky that I had friendly next to me, and I was lucky that I was almost full health. So that special attack is very dangerous. So it does 120 damage in the back, so almost insta-killing Vanguard class. But even from the front it does a lot of damage too. So always, look at those sneaky Vanguards. They're very good at killing people. The ambushes. And now you see when I'm fighting 1 against X, I want to use my heavy hits to go through several opponents. But when I do, starting the heavy hit, then the active parry window is already over, so you will be hit by the enemy. So this is a problem with blunt weapons in general. The map is ending. I've scored 39 kills, some of them with a tool, pan with a really big handle. So it was a good run. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for watching and see you next time.